Hey guys, here, Gene. Welcome to another GTA 5 video. It is now 19 past 8 a.m. in the morning. It's Monday morning and I haven't slept yet. I've been working on this video for the entire day of Sunday throughout midnight, and here it is, Monday, 8:20 a.m. So, here's the thing, man. You're probably wondering, why am I posting this again? What was wrong with the previous video that I posted last week? Last week's video was top 20 best lap time cars on this particular track on Little Soul GP, which is available, link in the description below on Rockstar Social Club website. You can try it for yourself. Only available on the PlayStation 3, my apologies, of course. It's very, very time consuming remaking tracks on Xbox 360, especially when there's over hundreds of amazing tracks on the PS3. We'll eventually get around to that, but obviously for those of you that are representing the Xbox community, by all means you can recreate these tracks and of course share it out for the people that actually want to try it. Anyway, the point is, the reason why I'm remaking this video is because I've missed out quite a few of the sports cars that actually deserve to be in the top 20 list and the top 25, whatever. Now this is obviously top 25 with 3 extra bonus cars, making this a top 28 best lap times cars in GTA 5 when it comes to obviously sports and supercars put together. So here's the thing, man. This is a long ass commentary. It's half an hour long and I haven't slept yet, so please take that into consideration. I literally look like Shrek on coke right now. If you don't want to see how I look like, my head is about to explode, people. But the good thing, I suppose, is that I'm speaking slower than usual, so most of you would be able to understand what I'm saying. For those of you actually coming into my channel for the first time and watching this video for the first time, I provide content based solely on racing and cars for GTA 5, and every now and then I'm messing about in the lobby that could possibly turn into a funny moments video. So that's all what I'm basing my channel at the moment. Of course I've got other series like chat relay and whatnot, but anyway, before I go off tangent here, I'm just here to provide you the best content for GTA cars and racing. So if you guys are interested in that, obviously stay tuned and subscribe and whatnot. Anyway, number 28 here, bonus car. We've got the Shortsters, a 2-door sports car, absolutely amazing for drifting. It's got the tendency to oversteer quite a bit, but if you can control it, I suppose it's decent, but still you get the uncomfortability, and eventually does get a 107.722, which makes it the slowest car to go around the track out of all the cars from this list, of course. Now number 27, this is interesting because the Maybach Penumbra, of course, made it into 22nd spot in the previous video last week. Obviously we missed out quite a few sports cars, and initially testing those out recently, it ended up obviously beating the lap time of this particular car, which only done it in 106.484, which I thought was actually fast last week. And here's the thing, man, it's kind of weird because thinking about it now, I obviously wasn't in a sober state when I was testing the cars that I thought got faster laps or proper fast laps for that particular car last time for that particular video. Looking back now and I sort of see the lap times that I've got now for this video, it's kind of interesting because some of those cars I managed to, you know, grab off a few couple seconds, which is ridiculous. So you should definitely stay tuned for this. Obviously it's a long video, so you can skip through if you want. Obviously I'm showing you that every single lap that I got this got the best time on, and obviously a lot of hours have gone into this. I've actually did a sort of stream as well for you guys, where you guys sort of joined in and helped out as well, where you guys pushed yourself to the limits and see what sort of lap times you got on it. I've got a few people who managed to beat my lap times with certain cars. Obviously this sort of scales to one particular driver in this video, and that scales, the sort of point of views from me, so which makes it fair obviously, because if I sort of show you different lap times of different drivers, it wouldn't make sense to show this video. So this all down to one particular driver means that that one driver's got that one set of skill level, I suppose, where it's testing equivalent to everything. You guys get what I'm saying. See, I'm dragging on my words here because I don't know what the hell is going on right now, but I'm trying to keep myself alive right here. So you see number 26, we have the Shasta Fusile. The Shasta Fusile. This is I think this did it. Yo, obviously you can see it there, 105.240. The thing about this car, right, I actually missed it out in the last episode. So not it's not an episode, it's last video for the top 20. I'm not sure why I forgot about this car. I completely forgot about it on the time that I was making the video. I'm not sure why that was the case, but hey, the Shasta Fusile definitely, I suppose you could say, is underrated against the Penumbra. I thought, you know, as I said, the Penumbra is a pretty damn awesome car, but this car sort of kicks in with its top speed and acceleration. Definitely I could say, I suppose I could compare the Fusile to this Penumbra. That's an interesting comparison, as these two are pretty damn close when it comes to lap times. So other factors should be interesting to see. but the Fuslade definitely has a tendency to understeer more than the Penumbra. Anyway, 25, we have the Rapid GT. This is another car that we missed out on the list from the previous video. I'm not sure why I missed this out again, but this car is literally like you're having to turn. Like, imagine you're covered in cement, right, and you're trying to take a corner, right, you're trying to run, you're being dragged back and you're being forced to go wide. Obviously, I'm just trying to say this car understeers a hell of a lot, so you have to sacrifice a lot of speed. Although this top speed is goddamn amazing on this car, acceleration is pretty good as well, which obviously compensates for the poor turning circle this car consists of. You have to brake early, much earlier than the Massacro. This car has poor, or slightly worse turning circle than the Massacro. It's interesting actually, but yeah, it is a great car for top speed and acceleration. I don't get how it just makes it at the 25 spot just about with a 105. It's kind of crazy to think about that amazing acceleration and top speed, but when you compare, it's very, very close to the Penumbra and Fuslade, and it's quite far off with other cars within the category of sports. But yeah, 105.179 there. The Bullet making that 24 spot. This is a 104.465. Because we know this is Supercar. The Supercar managed to make it in the list. This is quite down low, man. So 23 other cars have beaten the Bullet around the track, which is rather interesting to actually hear. It's crazy, out of the sports and super category, the Bullet is a supercar, and you expect this car to do well in other games, but in this particular game it doesn't really do great around a racetrack. Well, obviously we can sort of say, yeah, these aren't official racetrack, these are roads, but hey, racetracks are also consistent. What am I saying here? What am I talking? What am I talking about here? Sorry if I'm making you guys fall asleep, but this video, I'd say, is obviously you can watch this while I'm mute, but the point is I wanted to show you all of the best laps, right? I've already said that. See, I can't remember what I'm talking about right now. So I don't remember what I just said 2 minutes ago, because I think I'm hallucinating, right? Because I get many sleepless nights, people. I don't know if I've said this already, but I do get many sleepless nights when I do create these videos for you, because I want to get them out as quickly as possible, and so you guys can get that information as quickly as possible. Obviously, I was initially making my car v car episodes for the sports comparisons, but I was cock blocked by me having to look back and see my mistakes that I made in that previous video about this particular video. So you see here, the Buffalo S, or Franklin's Buffalo in other words, managed to get a pretty awesome lap time. Yes, obviously I did clip a little pole there, so I could have probably grasped a millisecond or so. So it could have even been below a 104, so it could have possibly been 103.9 maybe, which is most likely you can get a lap time like that with this Buffalo. It's a really, really awesome car. It's got an amazing turning circle considering how big and heavy it is. It's got an element of a muscle car, which we know that in real life it is a muscle car, but in the game it's a sports car for some reason. But it is what it is. Now, it's a crazy. So I apologize for the color here. It's not my car, but anyway, I'm a huge fan of red. That's just me. It's a 104.1. It's actually faster than the freaking Bullet. That's well, obviously around the track. That's insane. It may not have the greatest top speed, but damn, man, look at that Coquette do a little bit of drifting. It's kind of funny that this was actually my best lap time. Really weird, because I actually went back, because obviously I saw that skid there. I was like, wait a minute, that's pathetic. I can go back and easily beat the lap time of this, right? So I went back to try for a couple of these, or a couple of 20 laps actually. Couple 20 laps, that's 40 laps. All right, okay, cool. All right, so I've obviously spent quite a few time trying to do it again, but I wasn't able to get close to the 102.598. Let me know if you guys definitely try it out with a Coquette on this track. Let me know if you guys can beat a 102. But that's interesting. One thing you guys haven't even seen yet is the Sultan RS. So where could the Sultan RS be? Because last time it was actually slower than the Coquette and the other cars. But something about the Sultan RS, for some reason, I managed to pull off another extra 2 seconds faster, which is ridiculous, man, from my initial lap time, which was posted the last video. So that's another interesting thing as well. But anyway, that's enough spoilers for now. But 20 spot, we got the Coquette, which is, I don't know, for me, I personally find it disappointing, because this car has absolute amazing visuals and customizable options, but lacks for performance anyway. But 21st spot. Oh, we got the Chameleon here. This is I believe a collector's edition or something like that, a special edition, whatever. It's yeah, it's only available for those of you that have that. So it's interesting just to see that this actually makes it in the top 25 list. In fact, 21st spot with a 102.462, which is ridiculous. It isn't it's an electric car, right? So it's absolutely quiet, so you can't really pay attention to gear changes or any of that. So you sort of have to rely on the car itself and how you take the corners and whatnot. It does have the tendency to understeer, but at the same time it does oversteer a lot, which is really weird. But it's mostly to do with how you take those corners, when you approach it. How you approach it with the speed that you're going at, when you want to brake and whatnot. You really got to pay attention to this because it does oversteer quite a bit as well. It's a decent car. I was actually surprised with the lap time. Actually 102.462 is a crazy lap time with an electric sports car here, the Chameleon, which obviously I suppose you know, I sort of show you guys anyway to get every car out the way, even though we can't really use this car for those of you that don't have it. But I suppose in a way you could sort of say that it's not that viable unless you're doing Coquette versus the Chameleon, that is, from the cars we've seen. But at the 20th spot we have the Sultan, people. This managed to do in 101.997. Here's the thing, man, I'm sure you can get it much faster than that, so it's a slight milliseconds. But hey, in the previous video I did this in 103, so that's nearly a couple seconds, people. You know what I mean? Not in 103 on the dot, but in 103 point something, right? So a couple seconds I managed to take off with the Sultan when redoing the lap test there. And the thing is, I was actually going against someone else who was testing the Sultan as well, and this guy, I think, is top 2000 in F1 racing, and he just about got a millisecond ahead of me. But the point is, I have to show my lap times because that's the whole point of this sort of video, to sort of show the scaling. But that guy, shout out to Udwar, is one of the greatest racers I've raced against on GCA 5. I haven't raced against him that many times, but it's definitely a contender for the podium positioning, definitely. But anyway, Sultan is an amazing car around the track because it has literally amazing turning circle and amazing traction. And the momentum carried around the corners and the speed that you go at is amazing because you get full control of the car. You don't have to worry about understeering and oversteering, right? So that's the greatest thing about the Sultan. But number 19th spot, we have the Banshee. Banshee also significantly improved with its previous lap time. Previous lap time was 102, I believe, 102.8 or something like that. I got insane, a whole second. I managed to find a whole second with this particular car, which is pretty damn awesome. One thing I did learn about this car is that when going around these corners, you really want to brake hard, right? Because then you sort of get the advantage over the acceleration, which is one of the most beneficial things about this car, is the acceleration. Just like a few other cars, you got to sort of understand, okay, so if this car has an amazing acceleration over another sports car, you want to make the most of it in a racetrack. So what you do, you're going to brake hard, so you completely, literally, you're about to go full stop, but then when the acceleration kicks in, it sort of compensates around the corner. You get that drive and that flow towards the consecutive corner, and that's how you get the speed and the lap times, realistically speaking, with the cars with amazing acceleration. So it's weird how it works, but it's kind of, if you think of it logically, yeah, it kind of does make sense. But 18th spot, we have the Albany Alpha. There was no changes to this from the previous video. This is 101.799. I won't be able to beat that again, tell you that, unless I really sort of spend days on it. But I ain't gonna push myself to the point where I'm gonna kill myself. But hey, it is what it is. But I can promise you that this time all of the information with these cars are accurate with the lap times. If however you are doubting, but feel free to try the tracks out for yourself with the cars and see if you can beat my lap times. In fact, I even went over the Supercars, and I was quite surprising to find out some of the results with one in particular, which you'll find out eventually as the video continues. You know, it's kind of crazy. We've managed to actually speak throughout this entire time. You know, it's nearly 14 minutes, you know, gone by this commentary, and I'm still surviving, people. Now, obviously, if I die, the commentary would end slightly early, so bear with me. We're still here. But yeah, Alpha's a decent car, and definitely brought a few surprises to the table when I first tried this out on this track, and I managed to get this lap time. I was like, holy snap noodles, that is a pretty damn awesome lap time. Anyway, number 17, we have the Comet, 101.768. Could not get any better than that. It is a pretty tail happy car indeed. Not as much this time, obviously, after the 1.14 changes to the traction. Just in case you guys still don't know, of course, ever since patch 1.14, the spoilers actually do make a difference. And before anyone says anything, it doesn't matter what spoiler you choose, as long as your spoiler gets upgraded to whatever level that is next to stock. The traction changes are equal with the changes, I suppose. Doesn't matter what spoiler you have, you don't have to always choose the last spoiler. As long as you have a spoiler, that is okay. The traction does not change for the individual spoiler that I have. Anyway, I'm just overcomplicating here, but point is, the Comet doesn't oversteer as much as it used to, but it still does to the point where if you compare it to other cars, when it comes, obviously everything's scaled, right, 1-to-1 ratio. But anyway, Comet does it in 101, sort of stuck there, 17th position. It's decent, alright, you know, it's viable. As we're closing up to the close, very tight lap times here, which, you know, it's all down to the minute details. But as I said, you sort of see this from a point of view from one driver, and one driver only, and that is me, who sort of tested all these 28 cars from my point of view. And it's pretty cool, like I said, that some of the cars that I was not able to get, for example, Chameleon, that I don't personally have that car because I don't have the collector's edition. Someone else had it, so if I go into GTA 5 race, I can obviously use their car. I don't know if I've said this already, and then obviously to test the lap times myself. Although it would come under their name, and the car that I will use at the end will come under my name. For example, if I chose the Sultan but ended up going into the Chameleon, of course the name at the end will come up as the Sultan with the lap time of the Chameleon. So I had to sort of edit that at the end with the sort of showing you that obviously the car that I was using was this, so therefore the name is that as well. So I have to edit that little bit of this and that. But 16th, you can see here the Vaca, disappointed as always, with 101.766. But Carbon Azure was definitely a surprise for me, because in the previous video this managed to do it in 102, I believe, .46 or something. I don't know, just definitely just one of those 102s where I didn't think this would actually make it into the 101 category, but it did. It did 101.678. in fact, it went a couple places up actually in the list, so making it into a top 15 list here. Carbon Azure representing. The thing about this car, it's got one of the greatest acceleration out of all the sports car. I think the second greatest acceleration after the Massacro. Not sure yet. You find out at the the Car v Car episodes once I do compare the other sports cars to this. But as I said, this is just works similar to the Banshee, where you really got to take advantage of the acceleration. So when taking the corner, you want to brake hard and then immediately shift towards the throttle, slam your foot down, bang, your acceleration kicks in around every single corner. And if you practice that, then you should get these insane lap times. And that's how it works for the cars with amazing acceleration. Certain cars obviously work better, like for example the Sultan works better with momentum and flow around the corner, so you carry the speed, because obviously the acceleration may suck. And the thing about the Sultan is that braking also sucks, so you got to take that into consideration. But everything has a certain level of balance, so it's about understanding the car as well. And the way to understand is how you got to really push yourself and sort of, you know, it's very hard to explain in words, because everything's done through actions, right? A lot of thought process going into lines and whatnot. Anyway, number 14 here, we have the Serrano. My eyes are literally closing right now, but I'm hanging on, you know, 101.094. This car is pretty damn awesome when it comes to the speed. The top speed is great. Acceleration's alright, it gets a little bit of rear spins and whatnot, but one of the downsides that obviously caused this lap time to be this way, you know, which was a surprise for me because I expected more from this car, is the turning circle is pretty damn poor. You have to really brake hard, and because the acceleration is not that great, you lose a lot of speed, which has you know, this car does have a lot of speed which you can carry, but for this particular track there is quite a few sharp corners, but it is what it is. 13th spot, we have the Massacro. This has a very poor turning circle, but it is a great car if you actually learn how to use it. It will take some practice because it's a completely different car to most cars in the game, where most cars tend to oversteer, where this car sort of has the feel of I suppose most cars that understeer, I guess, you know. Turning circle's poor. top speed is fucking insane. Acceleration is insane as well. So I guess in a sense for balance they had to make the turning circle pretty poor for this, otherwise this car would dominate. Imagine this car right here with a turning circle of a car like the Obey 9F. Now that would be unthinkable, right? That is insane. There will be a car like that obviously in the future, I suppose. I don't know, maybe I'm just talking shit right now because I'm tired. That's my excuse. So yeah, this car did it in 100.898. So pretty damn awesome. Remember guys, feel free to try to beat these lap times with these cars. Remember, all of these cars are fully customized. Everything is added on to the car with engine level 4, whatever you want to call it. All the performance upgrades are fully maxed out, so don't worry about that. You can see here, 12th position, we have the Adder. The Adder making it in. Remember, this car doesn't have any spoilers, so there were no changes made to the traction after 1.14 patch. And even with that being said, it managed to make it in the top 12 position. Still, for the Adder, it's rather disappointing. You know, I'd expect the car to, I suppose, be as realistic as possible from real life. It technically should have a spoiler, but it doesn't in this game. It does it in 100.871. So a spoiler option would be nice on this car. Really would be, honestly. Let me know your thoughts about this particular car, man. You know, it is really down to preference. If you guys are comfortable with cars that sort of stick to the ground and understeer quite a bit, then this is perfect for you. But unfortunately, then again, I don't know, man. It's not the greatest, honestly. For me, I would say cars that oversteer are always better, man. That's just me anyway. But anyway, number 11 here, the Infernus, people. The Infernus obviously makes it into 11th spot, 100.825. But I could also say I'm rather disappointed with this car as well, because only the 11th spot, you know, is pretty crazy to think that this is another Lambo, right? Representing the Lambos, and it doesn't make sense to me how can sports cars that you'll see that come up can actually be so dominant. You know, so obviously me, I personally admit I have pretty poor understanding of cars in real life, but I have fully understanding of cars in the game. That's my downside and my flaws, obviously. So I'm not the expert. I'm not an expert at cars, I admit that, alright? But I would say I've got in-depth knowledge about cars within GTA 5, and obviously GTA 5 in real life don't really go well together, except for the general designs of the car, because the designing of the cars tend to sort of have combinations of different cars from real life, alright? That's something that we know. However, performance-wise, it's completely different, I feel. Obviously, to a certain extent, obviously, not too much, not over-exaggerated. But anyway, number 10 here, we have the Voltic. Is another electric car, makes it in the top 10 list. Interesting, 100.612. This car is pretty damn awesome, especially after the 1.14 change to the traction. Sticks to the ground like glue. Literally take these corners at high speed. Don't even have to brake. Literally let go of acceleration for corners that consist of 90 degrees or more. Now, of course, the corners like these are tight corners, less than 90 degrees. Quite often, it's not too much to worry about. Obviously, you have to brake, but the car does stick to the ground, and that turning circle is absolutely amazing. A perfect example there, sticking to the apex with comfortability and ease, given the efficiency. And because of efficiency, you can obviously this makes this car really viable in races. Obviously, if you perfect it, it's great. It's a very small car, so it's quite nifty, nimble, I suppose, going in between tight gaps and corners and whatnot, weaving through cars and whatever. So it's a really great car to use. In a way, I suppose it is underrated when you compare it against certain supercars, but it's still up there. 9F, the Obey 9F, makes it into the list. I did sort of forget to put this in the previous list. I suppose I might as well put it in there. What's crazy is that little tire bump there technically sort of put me off in a way of slight milliseconds, I suppose, but not to the extent. It's really weird because this was my fastest lap out of all the other laps I've done with this car. And also, you guys got to take into consideration that the 9F Cabrio, which is coming up, you guys will see anyway. I don't want to spoil it, but you know, the point is that they're pretty much exactly the same. I just feel that the Cabrio does oversteer a little bit, but that's just for me a placebo. It may possibly be a placebo effect because the cars look different from the rear. Of course, you could see the Cabrio looks slightly uglier than the normal 9F, but that's down to preference. I'm not the one to judge. But yeah, the 9F definitely makes it in the top 10 list, and should definitely give it a go. Some people would say it's pretty much pointless putting this in the list, but people have their preferences, and if our cars are available for to be chosen, you know, as a separate car on these races, then might as well put them in the list, right? So some people choose the Cabrio, some people choose the normal 9F. It's a huge confusion between these two cars, and from what it seems from this particular lap sort of hot laps, I suppose, on this track, I noticed that they actually were exactly the same, because think about it, right? The milliseconds were pretty much the only things that sort of took this apart. And the milliseconds could have been any sort of variable, and I feel that the millisecond difference with the 9F and the Cabrio was definitely the tyre in the second corner of the 9F footage that you saw earlier on 9th position. So definitely I say they're the same, but this discussion could, I don't know, there's not really nothing to discuss about, to be honest. But even you saw there, like a slight little clip against the garage wall there, it still managed to get 100.500. You could say that the Cabrio's got a better engine. I don't think so. I don't know. Sorry, I have no rights to say about anything about that. Sorry. But definitely, you know, it's an interesting thing to look at. Number 7, right? We have the Jester. The Jester is another awesome car, man. Amazing turning circle, carries a lot of speed and momentum around corners. The car is just absolutely great when it responds to the brakes around corners as well. It straightens up really, really quick. Only downside is the top speed, but it does do well in a circuit track. Sorry, did I just burp there? Oh my days! Wow, this is not professional. I'm telling you, this is not professional. Not neat. No. All right. So Jester, making us proud, doing its thing. You know, it is what it is. This brother looks absolutely amazing. Customizable options, and it does great around the track. It's got amazing traction downforce around the corner, man. It's ridiculous. Look at that response. Turning circle is amazing. Alright, there you go. Number 7 spot, making it in the top 10, as you'd expect. Number 6, we have the Feltzer, people. We know what this car is capable of. You know, it's a car that, yo, I'm literally lost for words here, people, but because it's kind of weird, because I did a similar commentary to this in a previous previous version, sorry. It's kind of like, I find it weird just repeating the same things. But if you're here for the first time, obviously if you don't know about the Feltzer, it's an amazing car. It's got amazing traction. It does have the tendency to oversteer quite a bit, but not that much now when you think about it. But if you really want to push yourself, then yes, you will get quite a bit of oversteer because of the traction changes and improvements to the car. And if you can control this car, then you pretty much will dominate. Remember, all of these tests were done from the recent patches and changes, sorry. So everything is fair, everything is up to date. If there are going to be more DLC cars coming out for supercars or sports cars or whatever that is competable on a track to make it in a top 28 list, of course I will update you guys. I will keep this as a template for the future. If I need to readjust or if I get any improvements, I will let you guys know in the comment section for this particular video. But for adjustments, for new additions of cars, of course, I will obviously make another list for the lap times. Hopefully that's alright with you guys. But yeah, I won't be redoing this particular set of cars now, because I'm pretty much confident with all of these lap times and they're very efficient. As I say, I can't push myself any further to this point. Yes, I did test all of these while I was sober, so that's fine. So I know that I've tested myself fully and everything. It's a fair test. And number 5 spot, obviously we have the Cheetah. See the millisecond difference there with the Feltzer and the Cheetah. So it's kind of interesting, you know, comparison with the Feltzer and Cheetah. Perhaps maybe if you guys want to see that, let me know, because that'll be interesting to see, because you can pretty much say hands down they're pretty much exactly the same, and they're gonna have a tight finish on a lap. So I suppose for comfortability, you go with the Cheetah. It's got amazing downforce and traction around the corner. Literally the greatest car for that. Sticks to the ground like glue pretty much, and it doesn't have the oversteer capability or tendency that like the Feltzer does. So you get the comfortability and efficiency around corner. So handling point towards Cheetah. Yeah. So Turismo makes it into the top 4, 59.697. And this is a lap time that was very, very difficult to achieve, as initially the lap time that I was satisfied with this car was, I believe, 59.9 something. But getting 59.697 is a achievement in itself. If you guys can beat that, that means you're freaking amazing with this car, because this car does struggle quite a bit, even though you don't see any of the struggles on this particular footage because it's showing you the best lap. But the struggle that I went through with this car was ridiculous because it struggles to go over curbs. So even like the minute sort of things that are sort of sticking out from the ground, or a little bit curbs here, you see this particular section here, even that little triangle section there with the grass patch, that sort of cuts off the intersection, that right there, even your car can literally flip because the front end of the Turismo is so damn low that literally can't even go over curbs properly and efficiently. So it's unpredictability. But anyway, number 3 spot, we have the Elegy, man. I'm sure you guys already expected this. No changes to this. This is literally the best I could do, people. I've seen Edouard try it, the lap time on this. He got 59.6 something. But obviously it's a car that is capable of doing many dirty things. I'm sure you can do 59.3 perhaps, or 59.2, but that is 59.2 is asking so much from you, and to so much perfection that it's ridiculous to even think about. And even there, for example, yeah, I suppose, I mean, the things that you can see a lot of like sort of little mistakes I'm making, but it's weird. I see myself like, I ask myself like, how on earth are these sort of laps are my best? You know, it doesn't make sense, because when I see myself, you know, driving the other laps, you know, that weren't the best laps with these cars, they seem very like awful lot of slow lap, very slower than my best laps. Wow, I can't get my words out here, but it's weird. Anyway, I suppose, as I say, if you don't know already, the cars do benefit from hitting against walls and stuff with its revs and how the transmissions work on this game for some reason. If you really sort of initially sort of if you rev up your engine, then you can actually get that unintentional boost of acceleration, which obviously, I mean, there's a terminology used for R1 boosting, but that's I'm not a huge fan of that, and obviously I do not use that in any of these cars. Otherwise, that will make it unfair. R1 boosting is sort of a way to force yourself to rev your engine around corners to get better acceleration for certain cars that have advantages over acceleration. But that is sort of a thing that only a few people use because they feel more comfortable using that, but I wouldn't recommend it at all. We can see here, second spot, we have the Entity XF, man. This is another car that is expected to do well. 59.010, which is pretty damn awesome. But here is the biggest surprise of them all. I managed to do a dirty lap, a very dirty lap that I'll probably most likely will never ever be able to beat again. It's 58.220, and I managed to get this on the second lap out of the 10 laps I was testing on this particular track. Although I have in total done over hundreds of laps on this track with this car. And earlier that day when recording, or earlier today actually, I got this recording today. Earlier that day I was streaming and I was failing to get past 59 seconds while everyone else was getting 58.5, 58.6 is alright. And I was thinking to myself, oh hell no, I will not beat that. So once I stopped the live stream, and I got myself a few hours break, watched the World Cup finals, come back, second lap, bang, 58.22. So hey, it proves that whole sort of taking breaks and coming back will always benefit you in the long run. So if you're trying to go for something and it's not working out the first time, always take a break and come back and try again later. You'll always improve. And there you have it, 58.22 is absolutely amazing. I don't know what it is, crazy lap time. Definitely true. Go ahead and try and beat that with a Zentorno Little Soul track available, as I said, link in the description below. Hopefully you guys find this video useful. There are 28 cars, all of the sports cars and all of the supercars covered here. Pretty much the best cars around the lap, I suppose, around the track in the game. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys soon. Check you soon. Now, good night, peace. Yeah.